Chapter 41, The Song of Life and the Weight of Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With his pathetic excuse for spiritual power, following that guy is basically a death wish, maybe it's just a personality thing, but Chu Zhao couldn't wrap her head around it. All that suicidal behavior would just make him stronger, setting him up for revenge later. Following him is a one-way ticket to the grave. After saying that, Chu Zhao vanished. She was so fast, even a great soul master couldn't keep up, that was all she could do. She'd already saved the guy's bacon once. If he didn't appreciate it, nobody could force him to. Up ahead, the Spirit Hall's golden generation had cornered 3 evil soul masters. When Chu Zhao caught up, she saw one of the evil soul masters hurl 2 corpses skewered on a spear at the Spirit Hall team. If those bloody corpses hit and splattered, it would be a nasty situation. The poison in them could mess them up pretty bad. Just as one of the Spirit Hall members was about to intercept the corpses, Chu Zhao jumped in. She rarely used her Seed of Life martial soul, even though it was just her first soul skill. First soul skill, Life Chant. As the skill activated, a faint, ancient melody filled the air, carrying a soothing energy. The wood element in the air went wild. Under Chu Zhao's control, it formed a huge emerald net, ensnaring the 2 corpses. Miraculously, the rapidly swelling corpses returned to their original state, like they were before death, all thanks to the wooden net. This was the Star Do Great Forest, where plant life thrived. Chu Zhao could use the Seed of Life martial soul with ease, almost like divine intervention. The Spirit Hall's on official business. But out and scram. The one wielding the Moon Blade martial soul had to be Xiaoyu. He was the first to notice Chu Zhao's intervention. He was surprised she'd suddenly appeared to help, but he immediately used the Spirit Hall's name to shoo her away. It wasn't that he disliked Chu Zhao on sight, he just thought she looked young and probably didn't have much soul power. Staying here would just get her killed. If they hadn't been on an assignment from the Spirit Hall when they ran into the evil soul master, it might have been different. But if Chu Zhao died on their watch, thanks to the evil soul master, they'd be charged with dereliction of duty and punished. When Chu Zhao heard Xiaoyu trying to scare her off, she replied instantly. "All right, you got this." Then she decisively booked it, leaving without a fuss, which caught Xiaoyu off guard. He'd expected to have to convince her to leave, he hadn't anticipated her leaving so easily. Hulaiina's not with the group. Guess she went after the Soul King on her own. With 6 soul masters here, they should be able to handle 3 soul master level evil soul masters. With that thought, Chu Zhao continued forward. Still, she admired Hulaiina's guts for taking on a stronger opponent by herself. Hulaiina's soul power was currently at level 49, just a hair's breadth from becoming a soul king, but that tiny gap meant she was still a soul sect member, lacking the crucial 5th soul ring. Even with the same soul power level, evil soul masters were way stronger than regular soul masters. She's getting her butt kicked. Chu Zhao muttered to herself, finally spotting Hulaiina. That little fox was pretty good looking, no matter what. And a battle-worn little fox looked even better. How can that soul Douluo stand by and watch this poor little thing get pummeled? Chu Zhao thought to herself, if he won't act, I will. Maybe I can get the little fox to owe me one. With a soul Douluo secretly watching, Hulaiina would be fine. This was basically a free favor, she couldn't pass it up. Just as Chu Zhao was thinking that, Hulaiina took another hit and spat out blood. Chu Zhao sprang into action. Since she'd already used her Seed of Life spirit in front of the Spirit Hall crew, Chu Zhao used it again and instantly unleashed her first spirit skill. First soul skill, Life Chant. A beautiful, mysterious melody filled the air, bringing soothing power. Emerald leaves appeared, gently wrapping Hulaiina and the Soul King. As the leaves wrapped around the enemy Soul King, they sucked away his life force. When the leaves wrapped around her ally, Hulaiina, they restored her vitality, healing her injuries and restoring her strength. That was Life Chant, her first soul skill. The melody could indeed calm people down and make them less eager to fight, but it wasn't a huge effect. "Where'd you come from, you little twerp? What did you do to me?" The Soul King used his soul skills to force his way out of the green leaf barrier and glared angrily at Chu Zhao. "Where'd you come from? You have bad breath." Chu Zhao retorted instantly, not backing down. The Soul King, already skinny and ugly from his evil magic, was deeply hurt by Chu Zhao's words. He immediately abandoned Hulayina and charged at Chu Zhao. The Soul King's martial soul was a ghost vine, now blood-red and extra creepy. Why's it so red? Did it suck blood or something? Just as Chu Zhao was wondering that, Hulayina shouted a warning. Watch out for his vine spirit. It can suck blood. The ghost vine lashed out at Chu Zhao, trying to wrap her up completely. Chu Zhao stood there, motionless, like she'd been frozen by the creepy vines. The Soul King smirked, and Hulayina was about to call on the Soul Douluo for help, but then, a strange thing happened. Just as the vine was about to wrap around Chu Zhao, it recoiled like it had been electrocuted. In Chu Zhao's open palm was a tiny seed. Under their astonished eyes, Chu Zhao revealed her 4 soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple. It shocked them all over again. Then, she said sweetly, in a way that begged to be punched, "Oh, a plant-type martial spirit? You're so screwed. My martial spirit just happens to hard counter you." Before they could recover from their shock, Chu Zhao unleashed her second soul skill. The weight of life. Countless green leaves appeared again, but this time, they didn't gently wrap around the Soul King. Instead, they stuck to him one by one, and the Soul King, already sluggish, became even more limp, almost collapsing into a ball. With each leaf that stuck to him, the Soul King shrunk. His knees sank into the dust, and his whole body was almost driven into the ground. The Soul King tried to use his ghost vine to entangle Chu Zhao and drag her down. But his martial spirit couldn't grab her, so he decided to target Hulayina instead. Chapter 42 Black Lotus #039, S Acting Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When he saw Chu Zhao stepping in to help Hulayina, he assumed they were close and figured hindering Hulayina would stop Chu Zhao. The ghost vine wrapped around Hulayina, instantly transferring some of the weight, which was already incredibly uncomfortable. She couldn't imagine the burden the Soul King was enduring. Seeing this, Hulayina's survival instincts kicked in. She fought back against the evil Soul Master, trying to break free of the ghost vine, but it wasn't easy. First off, her soul power was weaker than the evil Soul Master's. Secondly, he was fighting back with everything he had, so escape was nearly impossible. Sensing the terrifying power of Chu Zhao's martial soul and soul skills, he felt doomed and pinned all his hopes on Hulayina. His mentality was basically misery loves company. Seeing Hulayina ensnared, Chu Zhao panicked, shouting frantically, "What do I do? How do I save you?" In his panic, Chu Zhao intensified his second soul skill, producing even more leaves that pressed down on the evil Soul Master with the weight of life. Hulayina was also being dragged down by the ghost vine, feeling the immense weight and sinking into the ground. This was Chu Zhao's second soul skill, the weight of life. Life is more important than Mount Tai. At its peak, this soul skill made each leaf feel like a mountain crushing down, capable of killing instantly. Even though he couldn't use its full power, the weight was already incredible. The evil Soul Master, a Soul King, couldn't withstand it. Under the combined pressure of Chu Zhao's martial soul and soul skills, he couldn't even self-destruct. He died full of hatred, turning into a puddle of mud. "He's dead. You can stop now," Hulayina managed to say through gritted teeth. Hearing her, Chu Zhao immediately stopped using his soul skill and rushed to Hulayina, asking anxiously, "Are you okay? Let me help you up." When the evil Soul Master died, the weight on Hulayina instantly vanished, but since she was sunk knee-deep in the mud, she lost her balance and fell to her knees. "I'm fine." There was a hint of annoyance in Hulayina's voice. She was embarrassed. Accepting more help from Chu Zhao would only worsen the shame. She used her soul power to pull herself out of the mud and sat on the ground, popping her dislocated calves back into place. She didn't even flinch. "Who are you? Why did you show up all of a sudden?" Hulayina asked Chu Zhao while fixing her legs. "I came to the Star Do Great Forest with my classmates to hunt for spirit rings, but I got separated from them," Chu Zhao replied smoothly. "Are you mad I didn't save you right away, beautiful sister? My martial soul isn't for attacking, and I just panicked. My head's a mess, I can't remember anything. It's my fault, It's okay, I'm not mad. You did great. You saved me. I should be thanking you, Hulaina interrupted, her tone softening. She called me beautiful sister. She looks so pitiful and cute, and she's so sweet, how can I be mad? She saved me, so she can't have bad intentions. Thinking this, Hulaina's gaze softened. Chu Zhao appeared obedient and sweet, but he was hiding a deadly secret. When the evil soul master tried to drag Hulaina down with him, it wasn't that Chu Zhao couldn't have gotten rid of the vines, he was just too lazy to save her, but Hulaina didn't know this, so she was genuinely grateful to Chu Zhao and offered, "The Star Do Great Forest is dangerous right now. Why don't you come with us?" "No. I have to find my classmates," Chu Zhao replied, shaking his head. "You're okay now, so I'll go find them." With that, he ran off and quickly disappeared. As Chu Zhao left, a man appeared before Hulaina, the sole Douluo who protected her, Bibi Dong's confidant. "Miss, should we investigate her? Her appearance was too convenient, and she stole your thunder, causing you to fail your mission." Hulaina replied to Contra, as if unsure of Chu Zhao's real motives. Hulaina shook her head, "No need, she did save me." She momentarily forgot that she was protected by a sole Douluo, and wouldn't have been in true danger even if Chu Zhao hadn't appeared, and if she hadn't ordered the sole Douluo not to intervene unless she was about to die, he would have helped her long ago. Can you tell her martial spirit and true spirit power, that this was what Hulaina really cared about? Looking at Chu Zhao's age, she'd assumed he was just a great soul master, but it turned out he was a soul master. Even if he was a soul sect master, his fighting power was off the charts. His martial soul suppressed plant types, and with his second soul skill, he crushed a soul king to death, pulverizing his bones. It just didn't add up. I couldn't tell either. She must have some secret treasure or soul bone that hides her strength. I didn't even sense her approaching before she attacked, Contra said. That's why I want to investigate her. Hulaina had the same thought and decided to look into Chu Zhao. She did help me, after all. She's so young and powerful. We can try to recruit her or at least befriend her. But remember, don't hurt her. With that, she tacitly agreed to let Spirit Hall investigate Chu Zhao. The two continued chatting and healing, completely missing why Chu Zhao had suddenly left and run so fast. By the time they realized something was wrong, it was too late. It's the Titan ape, the king of the forest. Why is it on the outskirts again? As soon as Contra saw the Titan ape, he told Hulaina to run while he covered their retreat. Hulaina knew she'd be a burden if she stayed, and the Soul Douluo's mission was to protect her, so she took off. However, her injuries hadn't fully healed, so she ran awkwardly. Damn it, shouldn't that thing be in the inner forest? It showed up on the outer edge 3 months ago, and now it's back again. Hulaina grumbled while running, but when you're down on your luck, everything seems to go wrong. Chapter 43, 6-Year-Old Soul Beast, Thunder-Winged Tiger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A Titan ape burst out from behind her, and Hulaina scrambled to get away. She thought she'd made it to safety, but then bam, a roadblock. A thunder-winged tiger, a flying soul beast over 10,000 years old, smelling the blood and Hulaina's soul power, the tiger, which was in full-on feeding mode, lunged. Chu Zhao, watching from her hiding spot, knew things were about to get messy. She thought about grabbing a 5th soul ring before, but she never imagined Hulaina could be this unlucky. And to run into her, of all people. This wasn't the ideal time to snag a soul ring. Seriously, what are the odds? This was supposed to be foolproof. One soul Douluo's babysitting Xiaoyu and the others, another ran smack into the Titan ape, and Yuguan's tied up with poison Douluo. If she kicks the bucket, Bibi Dong will flip. It's not my fault, got nothing to do with me, but Bibi Dong would take it out on Dugubo. In a split second, Chu Zhao weighed her options and made up her mind. Hulaina, already badly hurt from her fight with the thunder-winged tiger, figured she was done for, cursing her rotten luck. Then, a familiar melody drifted through the air, and a wave of green washed over her. That oh-so-familiar feeling surged back, and the pain began to fade. Chu Zhao had kicked things off with her first soul skill, the Song of Life. It's got a binding effect, but it mainly sucks power from the enemy to heal allies. With Chu Zhao's current soul power, that first soul ring's pushing 40,000 years, using it solo on Hulaina, whose soul power was weaker, the skill could almost heal her completely, but since it was too strong, and Hulaina wasn't exactly trustworthy, Chu Zhao kept it dialed back to around 30% each time. Second soul skill, the weight of life. No sooner had she finished with the Song of Life than Chu Zhao seamlessly transitioned into her second soul skill. The thunder-winged tiger was straining against the Song of Life's hold when, poof, the restraints vanished. The king of the forest was furious and wanted to see which little ant had the nerve to mess with it, so it could teach it a lesson. But that thought barely lasted a second before the weight of life slammed the thunder-winged tiger to its knees. Thing was, this tiger was tough, able to power through the life weight of the Soul King realm. It had buckled at first, caught off guard, but now it was holding its own. Chu Zhao quickly figured out what was up. This thunder-winged tiger had 5 blue lines on its body, meaning it was between 50 and 60,000 years old. Sure, both 10,000-year and 50,000-year soul beasts were 10,000-year soul beasts, but they weren't even playing the same game. Go. I'm faster, I'll hold it off. Chu Zhao upped the reach of the weight of life's leaves while telling Hulaina to book it. If she stayed, Chu Zhao would be on edge. Holding back, Hulaina hesitated. She shouldn't have done this. But finally, she just gave Chu Zhao a long look and took off, but not long after she left, she sent up a distress signal from the spirit hall. Alright, big tiger, just you and me now. Let's have some fun. After clocking the thunder-winged tiger's age, Chu Zhao decided to take it down. She was just one spirit ring shy of where she wanted to be. 50,000 years was just enough to pair with the 5th soul ring of her seed of life martial spirit. It was shorter than the 100,000 years of the Death Scythe's 5th soul ring, but the system task rewards often came with goodies like boosts to all soul rings, so she could level it up later. Who knew how long she'd have to wait for the system to cough up her 5th soul ring? Maybe it was Chu Zhao's murderous intent, or maybe it was the Death Scythe martial spirit she'd switched to. But she could feel that this big tiger didn't want to play with her, but she wanted to play with the other person, so she had to force herself to stay and chase Hulaina. Undead sickle shadow kill, undead blood sea, undead thorns. The soul skills came out one after another, lightning fast. The thunder-winged tiger could hit pretty hard, too. Its attacks were lightning charged and lethal. Luckily, Chu Zhao was quick on her feet and had a knack for sensing danger. Her body would always tingle when something was up, giving her time to dodge. A 50,000-year-old soul beast wasn't a walk in the park. It was a damage sponge, and it took a while for the death energy to eat away at its life force. Chu Zhao was still just a soul king, and couldn't just one-shot it with her soul skills, so she went with Plan B, a mix of buffed-up poisons. The tiger scoffed at physical damage, but Chu Zhao was about to lay down some chemical warfare. Feeling its life force drain away, the tiger decided it was done playing with Chu Zhao. It beat its wings, sending a blast of wind and blue lightning straight at her. Then, it took off. Despite its size, it could actually fly using just those lightning wings. Chu Zhao wouldn't let the soul ring that was almost in her grasp just fly away. She shook her head and unleashed her 4th soul skill. 4th soul skill, Arrow of the Undead. That the sickle in her hand morphed into a wicked-looking red bow and arrow. She drew back the string and let it fly, pure death energy condensing into a razor-sharp arrow that screamed toward the thunder-winged tiger. If she kept firing, could she hit the target? Finally, the tiger went down, entering full-on rage mode. Its attacks were now way stronger than before, and Chu Zhao was just having a bad day. Seriously, she was so unlucky. She could barely handle a 50,000-year-old soul beast. Then, just as the thunder-winged tiger was about to bite the dust, lightning struck it out of the blue. When the light faded, a lightning pattern glowed on the thunder-winged tiger's hide. It had just leveled up to a 60,000-year-old soul beast. You've gotta be kidding me. Chu Zhao was beyond miserable. How could she be this cursed? What were the odds of that damn tiger getting so lucky? It was practically dead, and then, bam, leveled up and got a full heal. She was running on fumes already. How could she even keep fighting? Guess I've got to break out the big guns. Chu Zhao resolved to use the trump card she'd scored from defeating that soul sage not long ago. a Soul Douluo level attack. She had been saving it for an emergency, but before she could use her Soul Douluo level attack, another 8th soul skill appeared. 1. A privately created soul beast, 60,000 years old, is the 5th soul ring of Chu Zhao's Seed of Life martial soul. Chapter 44, Guang Ling #039, S words are shocking and become a shield. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 8th soul skill, the end. Instantly, a blizzard of ice arrows erupted from the ground, zeroing in on the thunder-winged tiger. That single 8th soul skill alone was enough to cripple the 60,000-year-old soul beast. The residual icy energy froze the beast solid. Chu Zhao's heart hammered against her ribs at the sudden turn of events. She clung to the thought that this person was helping her. He couldn't be an enemy, more likely, he'd been watching her for a while, knew exactly what she was capable of. Kid, I'll leave the rest to you. Think you can handle it? A young man's voice drifted from behind her. Chu Zhao didn't turn, just focused on the badly wounded thunder-winged tiger and nodded. Then, swiftly drawing her bow, she unleashed her 4th soul skill from the Death Scythe martial spirit, finishing off the weakened soul beast. The undead arrows pulsed with a potent death energy. Several hit home, and even the thunder-winged tiger's formidable life force couldn't withstand the relentless drain. With the danger past, Chu Zhao turned to face her rescuer. Their eyes met, and the air seemed to still. He was a young guy, looked barely 20, perched in the treetop like a winter spirit. He wore a light gray robe, and silver hair flowed past his shoulders. His features were sharp and refined, especially his left eye, which seemed to be made out of ice. His skin looked like jade, an icy aura radiated off him, sending a chill through the air. Ice and snow were always calming, and the murderous intent that had flared in Chu Zhao because of the thunder-winged tiger faded. Thank you, Senior, for saving my life. Chu Zhao already had a good idea who he was, judging from his attire, the 5th priest of the Spirit Hall, Guang Ling Douluo, but she had to play dumb, calling him Senior. You're welcome. You're a junior from the Spirit Hall. It's my duty. The young man wore the gray robe with easy style, and a faint smile softened the icy edge around him. His intervention had been accidental. He'd been in the area, and 3 urgent distress signals from the Spirit Hall had pulled him into the fray. This was Chu Zhao's last call for backup. Guang Ling eyed Chu Zhao's martial spirit, still in its arrow of the undead form, and his curiosity piqued. Your martial spirit is also a bow and arrow? Huh? Oh, no. It's a scythe. Chu Zhao seemed startled by the question, then remembered herself and shifted her martial spirit back to its original shape. She felt a little better. It seemed he only showed up after she used her 4th soul skill, which explained the question. Oh, it's not a bow and arrow, then. The young man looked a little disappointed, then he scanned Chu Zhao from head to toe. That airhead fox said you saved her twice, and she was crying and begging me to come rescue you. You look young, but you're stronger than that conceited fox. How come you saved that fox twice? His words made it clear he suspected Chu Zhao, but Chu Zhao didn't panic at his slightly questioning tone. Instead, she played along, echoing his words with a touch of embarrassment. Just lucky, I guess. Her expression was so genuine, Guang Ling couldn't tell if she was playing dumb or was genuinely confused. What's your name? Whose protege are you? Guang Ling pressed, watching Chu Zhao's reaction. My name is Chu Zhao, and I'm a student at Cloud Academy. Chu Zhao answered truthfully. Anyone could find that out. Unexpectedly, Guang Ling's expression shifted the moment he heard her name, and he stepped in front of Chu Zhao with a strange look on his face. Chu Zhao. Ah, Chu? Chu Zhao gave him a puzzled look, silently pleading, Senior, could you please not use that nickname? But Guang Ling was so excited that he ignored Chu Zhao's gaze and started muttering to himself, not even asking questions. Your name is Chu Zhao, and you're a student at Cloud Academy in Fastno Province. Are you also the sweetheart of Crown Prince Xueqinghe? The Crown Princess Xueqinghe picked. Now Chu Zhao was completely bewildered, at a loss after those rapid-fire questions. No, that's not me. You've got the wrong person. We just happen to have the same name. Chu Zhao denied it 4 times, refusing to admit that she was the one Guang Ling was talking about. What was happening? Was she now Xueqinghe's beard? By using her, the legendary sweetheart, as his beard, he finally had a legitimate reason not to marry or take concubines. What had she done to deserve such a bad friend? Denying it won't help. Everyone knows. It's practically spread across the continent. Everyone knows Crown Prince Xue Qinghe has a lover from a common family. Guang Ling emphasized, his eyes softening as he looked at Chu Zhao. It was the emotion of loving someone and loving everything about them, but Chu Zhao was about to explode. Xue Qing, he thought if he didn't give her satisfactory compensation, their alliance for revenge was over. Don't get angry. What's coming will make you even angrier. You should wait until you listen to what I have to say to get angry. Guang Ling said excitedly, looking like he was having a blast. According to first-hand intel, Emperor Shui of the Tiando Empire is starting to cave. He heard you're a student at the Advanced Spirit Master Academy, so he's thinking of issuing an order. If you make it to the finals of the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Elite Competition, he'll grant you a marriage to Xue Qinghe and make you his crown princess. Chu Zhao, my heart is completely broken. Asterisk, what a beautiful Xue Qinghe, what a beautiful Qianrengshu, star. Kid. Ah Chu. What's wrong? Are you really angry? Guang Ling finished speaking, but Chu Zhao didn't respond. He realized that Chu Zhao looked really unhappy, and he felt a little gleeful. Being the crown princess of Tiando is a blessing everyone dreams of. At that moment, Chu Zhao wanted to ask, do you want this blessing? I think it is not my blessing, but my sin. Chu Zhao was so angry at Xue Qinghe's behavior of using her as a shield that her voice became a little cold. When she spoke later, her voice couldn't help but become low. What kind of good person would use their allies as a shield? You. I thought you two were head over heels for each other. Doesn't look like it to me. Hearing that, Guang Ling turned playful. He knew this was just a charade, but he was needling Chu Zhao on purpose. Chapter 45, External Soul Bone Skill, Thunder Hurricane. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Or were you just so stoked by the news that you froze? Guang Ling thought Chu Zhao was a riot and wanted to mess with her a little. Maybe he also had a soft spot for her dog, who knows? Truth is, Chu Zhao was already a known quantity in the spirit hall, not some random nobody. Qian Renxue, still rocking the Xue Qinghe disguise in Tiando City, had even name-dropped Chu Zhao when she was sending messages. The gist was that Chu Zhao was an ally, they had a thing going, and she wanted her protected, so, when Chu Zhao dropped her name, Guang Ling instantly made the connection. Yeah, you got it. I was so happy I short-circuited, Chu Zhao mumbled. She was calming down, but still not used to Guang Ling's teasing. She was even starting to think he was cramping her style when it came to absorbing spirit rings. Well, I'm out of here. Senior, why don't you go babysit the younger kids at home? Talk about ungrateful, Chu Zhao was already trying to ditch him. But Guang Ling wasn't having it. They're not my family, so they don't count. I've bent over backward for the spirit hall just saving her skin, I can't be bothered with anything else. Guang Ling still had that air of disdain for Hulaina and the others. He didn't give them a second thought. After all, at his level, there were very few people or things that even registered. You're all from the spirit hall. What's the name of that fox lady? And what's your name, senior? You look so young, why do you keep calling me old man? Chu Zhao's eyes lit up when Hulaina was mentioned. If Guang Ling wouldn't leave, she'd needle him until he did. From the tone of his voice, he really didn't like Hulaina. It would totally get to him if she praised her like that. You've got no taste, kid. She's not even that pretty. You're prince, you're way prettier than her. No doubt, Guang Ling was about to say that Xue Qinghe's true face was 1,000,000 times more stunning than Hulaina. He slammed on the brakes and mentioned Chu Zhao instead. He'd almost spilled the beans. Guang Ling was afraid that if he kept talking, he'd accidentally reveal the whole Xue Qinghe charade, and that would be a disaster, so, after tossing Chu Zhao a compliment, he bounced. I've got stuff to do. This is my personal flair. If you get in a jam, just light it. Gotta run. Before Chu Zhao could even say thanks, he was gone. After finding a box for the flare and stuffing it in her storage soul guide, Chu Zhao got down to business and started absorbing the Thunder Winged Tiger's soul ring, with the fifth soul ring of the 100,000-year-old Grim Reaper's scythe, practically a god-given soul ring, as a foundation, which had already toughened up Chu Zhao's physical abilities. Absorbing the Thunder Winged Tiger's soul ring wasn't a big deal, plus, Chu Zhao got an unexpected bonus, an external soul bone. Aren't these the big tiger's wings? They're jet black with dark blue lightning crackling around them. Chu Zhao was surprised to see two pairs of jet black wings sprout from her back. The thunder wings let her fly around like a champ, using barely any soul power and at lightning speed. And the soul bone came with an attack soul skill called Thunder Hurricane, that made 3 soul bones for her now. One was a skull with spiritual properties that the Death God Development System had rewarded her with not too long ago, and she'd already absorbed it. The other was a right arm bone, a reward from the farming and health system. This soul bone's ability was kind of magical, maybe because the system was showering her with too many awesome rewards. Chu Zhao was getting a little spoiled. She didn't even bother with the 10,000-year soul bones and gave them all to the reserves. If other soul masters knew about this, they'd be green with envy. When Chu Zhao got back to Yunduan Academy, the gift that had been sent ahead of time had already arrived. And it was another gift that sent Chu Zhao's excitement levels through the roof. You guys are the Crown Prince's personal bodyguards. Looking at the 3 middle-aged dudes kneeling on one knee in front of her, who would have guessed they were soul saints? We used to be. But since we left for Cloud Academy, we're Miss Chu's personal guards now. The guy slightly in front of the others, who also had the most soul power, answered respectfully. These 3 were private guards that Xueqinghe had secretly and meticulously trained for the past decade. They were the best of the best. Not only did they have crazy spirit powers, but they were also good at handling the small stuff. His Highness specifically told us before we left to sign the contract you provided, Miss Chu, and switch masters immediately. They told the whole story and specifically mentioned Chu Zhao's contract. Chu Zhao's contract came from the Death Cultivation System. It had the death's mark on it. Anyone who broke it was in for a world of hurt. It was perfect for making oaths. After letting the 3 sign the contract, Chu Zhao, now thoroughly bribed, shut her mouth and willingly became Xueqinghe's shield, playing along with the charade. What could she say? These 3 showed up at just the right time. Counting you guys, our Cloud Academy's teaching staff has 5 soul saints and 6 soul emperors. It's barely a normal high-level academy. After counting on her fingers, Chu Zhao realized they still didn't have enough students. Her academy only had about 40 students total, and only a quarter of them were soul masters or higher. The rest were just great soul masters. You guys came at the perfect time. Your first job is to recruit students. I'll give you a tip: recruit students under the name of Tiando Crown Princess. Chu Zhao jumped up and patted the shoulders of the 3 newly appointed soul saints, immediately giving them their assignments. As the Queen of Resources, she wasn't about to let anyone loaf around. Everyone had a job to do. Even a 3-year-old had to study hard so they could be of better service when they grew up. Even Gold Douluo, who had lucked out and advanced from Soul Douluo to Title Douluo, had the task of training his butt off and ditching the title of weakest Title Douluo within 2 years. I just heard someone calling me Scrooge McDuck. Wang Sheng, was that you? You looking for trouble again? I haven't tested your strength in a while. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll give you some pointers. Chu Zhao glanced over at Wang Sheng in the conference room, and his expression went from a smirk to confusion, then to pure terror. No, boss, I didn't say anything. Wang Sheng was practically in tears, claiming he was innocent. Did he just complain in his head? Did he accidentally say it out loud? He couldn't be that unlucky. Your face says you're trash-talking me in your head. I know what you're thinking. Wang Sheng. Chapter 46 Cloud vs. Shrek. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No, boss. If you want to test us, just say it. No need for excuses. Wang Sheng was cut off mid-sentence by Xiao Qinyu, who poked him and made him turn off the mic. No need to waste time training, boss. We haven't even finished up in Mtlno City yet, and now we gotta train. Give me a break. Xiao Qinyu clapped a hand over Wang Xing's mouth, ready to drag him out, but Chu Zhao stopped them. Go meet the Shrek Academy team. Give this letter to Zhu Zhuqing and bring her back to the academy. Chu Zhao tossed over a letter. Xiao Qinyu caught it, puzzled why a student from another academy would be summoned. But he knew better than to question orders. Got it. Do we have to win this one, too? Just do your best. Winning isn't the top priority. Even though Xiao Qinyu and his team were stronger than Shrek's, Chu Zhao wasn't sure about Tang San's protagonist aura. Plus, Xiaogang was also a transmigrator, and that probably came with its own special buffs. Chu Zhao couldn't guarantee they'd win, but they were destined to meet and fight eventually, so a friendly spar now would be good prep. Chu Zhao stayed behind, sending 2 Soul Saint teachers with them, one for offense and one for healing, to keep them safe. He also wanted a detailed report on the whole thing. Xiao Qinyu and his team met the Shrek 7 devils in a large arena not far from Mtlno City. They'd planned this. The city only had a few gold fighting soul teams at the Soul Master level. It wasn't hard to run into them if you knew where to look. Before the match, Xiao Qinyu dragged Wang Xing to the betting area. Seeing all the money people were throwing around, Wang Xing got pumped. Xiao Qinyu had planned to get Wang Xing riled up like he did before every game. But this time, Wang Xing got even angrier because he spotted Flanders placing a bet. Isn't that the head of Shrek Academy? A dean gambling like that? Can he guarantee his luck will hold? What if he loses everything and screws over his students? Wang Xing hated gamblers. Knowing the Shrek team were Flanders students just made him even madder. This fueled him to an unprecedented level. He was only level 35, but he went toe-to-toe with Dai Mubai, who was level 38, and held his own. On the Shrek side, Tang San was stunned by the familiar faces. He almost thought he was dreaming. Wang Xing and Xiao Qinyu. How'd they get so strong? They're soul masters now. They must have taken something. Xiao Wu knew what Tang San was thinking, but she blurted out her surprise, seeing Wang Xing and Xiao Qinyu, both soul masters with 3 spirit rings, white, yellow, and purple. Xiao Wu wondered if she was dreaming, or if they just looked alike, but the same names, the same martial souls, the same first spirit skills. It had to be their old classmate from Notting College. Xiao Wu, you know them. What academy are they from? Xiaogang, who was already attacking, heard the names and whipped around to ask Xiao Wu. Why ask her? Ask me. Xiao Qinyu intercepted Xiaoyang's attack and helpfully answered. Xiao Wu and I were classmates at Notting Junior College for a year. Now I'm at Cloud Advanced Soul Master College. The team name should have given it away. As he spoke, Xiao Qinyu activated his first spirit skill. His hands turned into wolf claws. His first skill, Wolf Fang Thorn, made the claws even sharper and stronger. Xiaogang, distracted by the mention of Notting Academy, was caught off guard. If Tang San hadn't reacted and pulled him back with his blue-silver grass, he would have been hurt. Focus. I got this guy. Tang San pulled Xiaogang to safety and faced Xiao Qinyu himself. I didn't expect you to get so strong in 5 years. I almost didn't recognize you. After a brief exchange, Tang San could tell Xiao Qinyu was no pushover. He was curious how he'd gotten so strong, so he asked. You're what, 30-something now? How did you improve so fast? I'm level 35. As for how, let's just say I met someone who helped me out. I went through some stuff, but it was worth it for the power I gained. Xiao Qinyu didn't elaborate. He and Tang San knew each other, but not well enough to share deep secrets. Some things didn't need to be explained or justified: the medicinal baths, the special diets, the constant, brutal training. He'd shed blood and endured pain beyond measure. Every muscle and bone had been reforged. That's how he'd gotten here. He was proud of that and didn't need anyone else's approval. Level 35. Tang San was shocked. He'd figured Xiao Qinyu was just barely level 30, not 2 levels higher than him. He almost thought Xiao Qinyu had an innate full spirit power instead of him. What about Wang Sheng? He's not level 35 too, is he? Tang San glanced over at the fight between two tigers, one white with black stripes, the other yellow with black stripes. They were evenly matched. You guessed it. Xiao Qinyu looked at the Shrek team with their perfect spirit ring ratios and felt a twinge of envy. Too bad we met her too late. Our first spirit ring is only 10 years old. But even with less than ideal spirit rings, we won't give up. Even with our low innate spirit power, we still made it to Soul Master, right? Xiao Qinyu's aura shifted. Chapter 47 Team Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He didn't buy the idea that a Soul Master's potential was set in stone by their innate soul power. He and the others were living proof. Everyone else might have said they were destined to be just great Soul Masters, even with luck on their side, but reaching Soul Master status was only the beginning for them. Soul Master, Soul Grandmaster, Soul King. He was going to climb all the way to the top, but right now, he just wanted to win this match, to overcome the insecurity he'd once felt compared to Tang San's naturally superior soul power. First soul skill, Wolf Fang Thorns. Second soul skill, Wolf Claw Slash. Xiao Qinyu unleashed both his first and second soul skills, charging at Tang San. Normally, Tang San wouldn't be able to dodge both attacks at once, but Tang San was far from ordinary. Using the deceptive footwork of the Ghost Shadow perplexing track, he sidestepped Xiao Qinyu's second soul skill and caught the first one with his mysterious jade hand. The Wolf Fang spikes were razor sharp, but Tang San's hands were tougher than they looked, capable of gripping just about anything. The arena was too small. Xiao Qinyu had switched to an agile, aggressive style, which left him vulnerable. Against a control type like Tang San, he was in trouble. Tang San immediately counterattacked, using his first soul skill to bind Xiao Qinyu, forcing out his third soul skill, Silver Wolf Sword Break. This was a 1000-year skill, packing a serious punch. A sword shadow shaped like a silver wolf's head erupted from Xiao Qinyu, severing the blue silver grass binding him. The shadow didn't fade, instead, it hurtled towards Tang San's face. The sword shadow was intangible, but the damage it could inflict was real. Faced with this skill, Tang San's first and second soul skills were useless. He could only use his third, Spider Web Restraint, to ensnare Xiao Qinyu's attack. It should have worked, but as Xiao Qinyu released his third skill, Shu Han from the Cloud Academy lit up her first soul ring. The blank book in her hand flipped to the first page, revealing a single word. Break. Her first soul skill was a one-trick pony, but it packed a wallop. It channeled all her strength into that single word, break, doubling the attack power. Her target was Xiao Qinyu. Supercharged by break, Xiao Qinyu's sword shadow sharpened to a razor's edge. Focusing all his energy, he shattered Tang San's spider web restraint. Tang San's third soul skill was composed of blue-silver grass. With its destruction, Tang San felt the backlash. He was surprised by Xiao Qinyu's sudden power and realized he had to get serious. Meanwhile, Wang Sheng was on a rampage. Knowing he had backup and wouldn't face permanent consequences, he fought with reckless abandon. This was the first time Dai Mubai had faced someone so crazy. He was learning the true meaning of a rival. I shouldn't have gone hand-to-hand with him. This guy's a psycho, Dai Mubai thought, frustrated and angry. He had always been confident in his close-quarters combat skills, so when Wang Xing closed the distance, he'd instinctively accepted the challenge. He'd underestimated his opponent. Now that he wanted to back off, Wang Xing had him locked down. Unlike Dai Mubai's wild style, Wang Xing's fighting was obviously structured. Dai Mubai's first thought was that he'd met his match. This has to be a self-created skill. How could he create a skill? A genius like that should be at Shrek. I must be seeing things. Dai Mubai didn't voice his thoughts. In his mind, he was screaming, no way. He didn't want to believe Wang Xing could create his own skill when he hadn't. The more he dwelled on it, the more his confidence crumbled, and his strength waned. You're using poison. You're controlling the match with poison. Tang San was the first to notice, his gaze snapping to Jin Qianqian, who was pummeling Xiaogang. Before the match, they'd gathered intel on their opponents. Tang San knew the Cloud Team's strategist was Jin Qianqian, a female soul master whose martial soul was the Mandarin duck vine. He had assumed she was using the vines for a control-type strategy similar to his blue-silver grass, but he now realized she was using poison. The gold and silver flowers of the Mandarin duck vine were highly poisonous. The poison was odorless and colorless and carefully avoided Tang San, so he didn't realize what was happening until his teammates were affected. I didn't expect you to figure it out so soon. I was hoping to take my time and let you all wither away. Jin Qianqian sighed, and her third soul ring, which hadn't activated until now, finally glowed. Third soul skill, Golden Bloom. All the gold flowers on the vine bloomed, releasing countless golden light and shadow petals that swirled toward the Shrek team. Upon contact, they dissipated, but the toxins had already entered their bodies. Even Tang San, a poison expert, couldn't avoid it. The poison was absorbed through the skin. Though Tang San was much less affected than the others, the Mandarin duck vine bore two kinds of flowers, gold, which were poisonous, and silver, which were the antidote. The third soul skill caused a 5-second group paralysis. During those 5 seconds, all actions, thoughts, and movements were weakened by 50%. Even before the skill was activated, the golden flowers had a mild version of the same effect, but it required prolonged exposure to take hold. With her third skill active, Jin Qianqian used the Mandarin duck vine's entanglement to drag Xiaogang off the stage. Her third soul skill was potent, but it drained her soul power. She was almost spent. Staying on stage would only hold the team back. Better to take an opponent out with her. The rest of the Cloud Academy team unleashed a furious assault on the remaining Shrek members, using their strongest third soul skills. They didn't hold back after the initial burst, using whatever skills fit the moment, just to take advantage of the opportunity. Tang San and Xiao Wu were holding their own, but the others were struggling, especially Ma Hongjun, who had less soul power and was also responsible for protecting Ning Rongrong. With Ma Hongjun faltering, the Cloud team immediately targeted Ning Rongrong. In a team fight, take out the support first. Dark clouds fluttered their black wings, and the light from the arena shone down, creating a colorful halo around their wings. With incredible speed, they swooped in front of Ning Rongrong, aiming their second soul skill at her. Chapter 48, Defeated by Hidden Weapons. Yu Xiaogang #039, S defense breaks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even though Ning Rongrong got sent away, dark ops deep behind enemy lines rarely end well. Zhu Zhuqing, who was right behind her, and Ma Hongjun, who reacted fast, piled on Wu Yun together, showing no mercy. By then, Jin Qianqian, the team strategist, was already out of the arena. Otherwise, they might have been able to use the Mandarin duck vine to pull her back to their side. Even though Wu Yun was clearly outmatched, facing two opponents, one of whom had a martial spirit that suppressed hers, she didn't panic at all. She even waved off help from her teammates. It wasn't arrogance, but Wu Yun understood this was the best way to play it. Her spirit power was way higher than Zhu Zhuqing and Ma Hongjun's. Those two were just nursing injuries and couldn't touch her. Still, their plan went sideways. They focused on Tang San's poison and hidden weapons, but they completely missed that Xiao Wu, their chosen target, was Tang San's Achilles heel, someone he wouldn't let anyone touch. They never imagined that hurting Xiao Wu would make Tang San completely lose it. With Shu Han's support, Lin Cheng's black-silver stick hit like a freight train, beating Xiao Wu until she coughed up blood and couldn't fight anymore. Xiao Wu! Tang San roared, eyes bloodshot, glaring at Lin Chen with pure venom. Suddenly, everyone from Cloud Academy understood why Tang San was called Thousand-Handed Azura. This was a festival of hidden weapons, and Tang San was the only performer. A storm of deadly hidden weapons rained down on Lin Cheng and the 6 from Cloud Academy. Jin Qianqian, watching from the sidelines, made a snap decision and yelled, "We forfeit." That the Great Spirit Arena referee wasn't strong enough to stop Tang San. It was the Cloud Academy teacher who had to jump onto the stage to hold back the furious Tang San. But it was too late. Tang San's hidden weapons were too fast. Lin Cheng, taking the brunt of the attack, was badly hurt. Several dragon beard needles sliced through the hasty defense Shu Han threw up and broke through Lin Cheng's own defenses, piercing his abdomen and limbs. Tang San's attack was vicious, and Lin Cheng's injuries were severe. "Get them out of him!" The spirit saint teacher leading the team stopped Tang San as he tried to leave with Xiao Wu in his arms, but Tang San wasn't having it. In his mind, they'd hurt Xiao Wu and deserved to die. He was doing them a favor by not finishing the job. He wasn't about to pull out the dragon beard needles for anyone. The dragon beard needles were special and needed Tang San's technique to be removed. The healing spirit saint could only ease Lin Chen's pain, which wasn't a real solution, but before she could start treatment, Lin Chen stopped her. So that's why you wanted me to deal with Xiao Wu. I owe you one. Everyone was freaking out, especially Shu Han, but Lin Chen still had the energy to crack a joke through the pain. Wu Yun, who was already stressed, went stone cold when she heard that. She yanked Shu Han, who was clinging to Lin Chen and crying, away, practically spitting out the words, "Don't panic. Wipe your eyes. Have you forgotten what makes this kid special? If this happened to anyone else, we'd be worried, but this is perfect for him." That's when everyone remembered Lin Chen's unique trait. The worse the injury, the more pain he felt, the faster he improved. This injury was a setback, but he'd definitely break through when he recovered. And judging by the situation, he might even jump from level 34 to level 36 in one go. Talk about envy. How did he get so lucky? Meanwhile, Tang San was still refusing to remove the dragon whisker needles for Lin Chen. After the team leader unleashed his spirit saint aura, Flanders matched it, not to be outdone. You think you're the only ones with a spirit saint? I'm not scared of you. If Dean Flanders is going to act like this, I'll have to call in our vice dean. The teacher in charge tried to threaten Flanders with gold Douluo. After all, as a gold Douluo who'd just broken through to the title Douluo rank last year, his reputation on the mainland was sky high. Vice dean. Since you know I'm the dean, shouldn't you invite the dean out? Who's your vice dean? More powerful than the dean. Flanders was being sarcastic, because he'd never heard of Cloud Academy. He assumed it was some small, no-name school, and their people couldn't be that tough. The two spirit saints in front of him were the best they had, so there was nothing to worry about. After all, even though he was just a spirit saint, Shrek Academy had 3 of them. He, Lu Erlong, and Yu Xiaogang could even take on spirit Douluos. Why should they be afraid of some no-name Cloud Academy? Their vice president is me. Got a problem with that? An old, gloomy voice echoed, and an old man in green robes stepped into the fighting spirit arena. One moment he was standing there and the next moment, he was in front of them. An overwhelming aura of terror instantly enveloped everyone at Shrek Academy. Under that intense pressure, Flanders couldn't keep up the tough act, and the injured Xiao Wu in Tang San's arms went even paler, clutching Tang San's clothes in fear. When Xiaogang saw who it was, he immediately knew there was trouble and quickly stepped in front of Tang San and Xiao Wu, blocking their view. I wonder if Senior is. Flanders asked, trying to keep his voice steady, feeling like he'd just been slapped in the face in public. He knew instinctively that this was a dangerous situation, and he was good at adapting, so he swallowed his pride and spoke respectfully. I am Dugu Bo, Vice President of Yinduan Academy. Dugu Bo held his head high, feeling like he couldn't be beaten. He was the strongest person there, so he had every right to feel that way. Poison Douluo Dugu Bo. Yu Xiaogang blurted out Dugu Bo's name in shock, making Dugu Bo glance his way, but after just one look, Dugu Bo turned away in disgust. I didn't expect you to know me. With his power, he could tell that the aged Yu Xiaogang was only at level 29, making him the weakest and most useless one in the group. With the title Douluo Dugu Bo backing him up, Tang San reluctantly pulled out the dragon whisker needles for Lin Chen, making sure not to pull any sneaky moves. Hey, what's your deal? Dugu Bo soon realized how unique Lin Chen was. Afraid that Lin Chen wouldn't understand Chu Zhao's good intentions, he couldn't help but say, that girl Chu Zhao cares about you. Just listen to her. She's not going to hurt you. Don't worry, Senior. I always listen to you. Otherwise, how would I be at level 35 with only level 1 innate spirit power? Lin Chen said this to get under Wu Yun's skin because he'd hit level 35 before she did, but he didn't expect to break Yu Xiaogang first. Yu Xiaogang, who'd already been walking away, suddenly turned back and stared at Lin Chen. How much? What was your innate spirit power level, that he thought he'd misheard? How could someone with an innate spirit power of just level 1 reach level 35 at such a young age? Under normal circumstances, wouldn't someone like that be stuck as a great spirit master for life? Just like him. His innate spirit power is level 1. What's the problem? The 7 of us don't have high spirit powers. We're all level 1 or 2, Xiao Qinyu chimed in, admitting that he'd said it on purpose after recognizing Yu Xiaogang. Chapter 49, Fighting Yu Xiaogang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Qinyu realized he'd been holding on to a grudge. Seeing Yu Xiaogang again after all these years, he understood that he'd never really let go of the past. He'd known Yu Xiaogang even before Tang San did. Being the son of Nodding City's lord, he'd had the advantage. Yu Xiaogang had been around for years before Tang San came along. Xiao Qinyu's father, wanting the best for his son, had once tried to have him apprentice under Yu Xiaogang, but Yu Xiaogang had turned him down flat. Xiao Qinyu still remembered the sting of his words. The student I'm looking for is no ordinary kid. Your son doesn't fit the bill. Please take him home. My future disciple will be a rare talent, 1 in a million, capable of realizing all my dreams and ambitions. City Lord Xiao is being kind calling him ordinary. With only level 1 spirit power, he won't amount to much. Even if he gets lucky and finds tons of treasures to boost him, he'll still only ever be a great spirit master. He was just a kid then, but the sting of that rejection lingered. Seeing Yu Xiaogang again finally dissolved the resentment, but a part of him still felt bad for his younger self. Seeing Yu Xiaogang stuck at the same great spirit master level after all these years, Xiao Qinyu couldn't help but think, he's the one who's going to be stuck as a great spirit master forever. Wanting to get back at him for what he'd said years ago, Xiao Qinyu deliberately emphasized their low innate spirit power, hoping to wound Yu Xiaogang, and it worked. Yu Xiaogang looked stunned and kept repeating, impossible. Impossible. That it would have been one thing if he'd just been talking about himself, but he was also insulting Tang San and the others. Level 1 innate spirit power is practically useless. How can it possibly be faster than someone with full innate spirit power? He didn't spell it out, but the implication was clear. He was saying that geniuses like Tang San were somehow worse than trash with level 1 spirit power, or even less than trash. Except for Yu Xiaogang, the rest of the Shrek group had relatively high innate spirit power, and his words made them visibly uncomfortable, but Yu Xiaogang was too caught up in his own world to notice. I've studied thousands of files. No one with innate spirit power below level 2 has ever broken through to the Great Spirit Master realm, unless they were born rich and had access to tons of rare treasures. Your father's just the lord of a small city. There's no way you could have gotten your hands on that many treasures. You must have used some shady trick to increase your spirit power so quickly. Yu Xiaogang spoke with an air of authority, sounding like he knew everything about martial spirits. Seeing Xiao Qinyu and the others' unhappy faces only seemed to egg him on. Gaining over 20 spirit power levels in just a few years. That kind of speed raises some red flags. It reminds me of something, not good. According to my research, only the fallen can cultivate that fast. And they can cultivate that fast because they use human blood. Yu Xiaogang finally ran out of steam. Wu Yun couldn't take it anymore. She had to blow off some steam herself, before she really went crazy. Mr. Yu is really going off the deep end. The fallen are hated by everyone. The spirit hall kills tons of them every year. You can't just throw around accusations like that. She pointedly didn't call him master. She didn't see him as a master. She'd heard his theories before and thought they were ridiculous. Calling him Mr. Yu was already being generous. Cloud Academy has been working with the Spirit Hall to hunt down the fallen for years. Even our students have taken out plenty of them. The Spirit Hall, which we work with, knows better than you whether we're fallen or not, and what our relationship to them is. So, I can't accept you labeling us as fallen. Please apologize. Yu Xiaogang said nothing. He refused to apologize. He might not be strong, but he was stubborn. He turned away, refusing to look at Wu Yun. If Douluo hadn't been there to stop him, Yu Xiaogang probably would have stormed off in a huff. Seeing Yu Xiaogang squirm, Lu Erlong immediately stepped in to defend him. Is everyone at Cloud Academy so rude? How dare you talk to your elders like that? Elders? Wu Yun laughed and shook her head. You have to earn the title of elder. You can't just declare yourself one. And around here, seniority seems to be determined by spirit power, not age. The implication was clear. Yu Xiaojiang's spirit power was lower than hers, so he wasn't worthy of being considered her senior. Yu Xiaojiang got the message loud and clear, and his face turned red with anger. Tang San, who had been silently observing, finally snapped. Insulting his teacher was a death wish. He casually flung a volley of hidden weapons towards Wu Yun. The attack was sudden, but the Cloud Academy instructor and Douluo both reacted instantly, intercepting the weapons and protecting Wu Yun. It seems to me that your students are the ones lacking in manners, Douluo said, crushing the intercepted weapons into a lump of metal with his spirit power. Wu Yun filed that away for later. You said you looked at thousands of files to reach your conclusions. Whose files did you look at? Were they even credible? Of course they were credible. They were the Spirit Hall's files. Yu Xiaojiang finally found a point he could argue, confident in his answer, but that wasn't what Wu Yun was going for. Yu Xiaojiang had fallen right into her trap. So your 10 core theories came from the Spirit Hall's files. Funny you forgot to credit them when you published your work. That's not a good look. That asterisk was what Wu Yun was aiming for. Yu Xiaojiang had accused them of being fallen without a shred of evidence. She was simply returning the favor, accusing Yu Xiaojiang of plagiarism, something that wouldn't be easy to shake off. She'd always suspected that Yu Xiaojiang's theories were fishy anyway, that they were above his pay grade, possibly stolen from the Spirit Hall. After all, the Spirit Hall was the only organization on the continent that subsidized spirit awakenings for commoners. They'd be the most likely to know the spirit power levels and advancement rates of ordinary spirit masters. It was just a hunch, but so what? She didn't need evidence. Yu Xiaojiang hadn't needed evidence when he called them fallen, had he? Why would I credit the Spirit Hall? This is all based on my own knowledge. He stopped abruptly. Yu Xiaojiang was truly furious now, and his breathing turned ragged, feeling pretty rough today. The next chapter will be out later, around noon. Chapter 50, The engagement is over, and I'm finally free. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He didn't dare open his mouth that day. It was just a bad time for him all around. In his position, anything Yu Xiaojiang said would have been wrong. But he didn't have to say anything, because Lu Erlong was ready to fight his battles. So, you're just a Spirit Hall stooge. Did that witch send you here to bully Xiaogang and me? If you can't have it, destroy it, huh? You're pathetic. Lu Erlong spat out the words, glaring at Wu Yun and the others with pure disgust. The Cloud Academy team was stunned by the accusation. Only the Golden Triangle members knew exactly who she was talking about, but they didn't challenge her on it. Erlong, drop it. She's just. The kids are tired. Let's head back and get some rest. Yu Xiaojiang's hesitant words were better than saying nothing at all. As Shrek Academy prepared to leave, Xiao Qinyu rushed forward with an envelope and handed it to Zhu Zhuqing. Ms. Zhu Zhuqing, this is a letter from our dean. Please, take a look. Zhu Zhuqing initially ignored the stranger, but she recognized the familiar wax seal, a cloud parting to reveal the moon, and immediately snatched the envelope. Zhu Zhuqing, don't read their junk. Throw it away, now. Dai Mubai exploded the moment he saw her accept the letter, ordering her to toss it. He couldn't stand the Cloud Academy team. He refused to believe he almost lost to those nobodies, but Zhu Zhuqing completely ignored him, not even a glance. She ripped open the envelope and began reading. The letter was several pages long. She couldn't finish it in one go. Seeing this, Dai Mubai's anger flared. He reached out to grab the letter and rip it to shreds. What's so special about that thing? But Zhu Zhuqing reacted way faster. If he thought he could take something from her, he had another thing coming. She easily dodged his clumsy swipe. As soon as she finished reading, a cold glint sparked in her eyes. Ignoring her post-match exhaustion, she unleashed her first soul skill directly at Dai Mubai. Zhu Zhuqing rarely showed any emotion. The fact that she was this angry made everyone curious about what the letter contained. No one expected her sudden attack, or how incredibly fast it would be. Before Dai Mubai could react, she had raked her claws across his chest, leaving 3 bloody scratches. "Are you crazy, Zhu Zhuqing?" Dai Mubai clutched at his wound, staring at her in disbelief. The others looked just as shocked, their expressions a mixture of confusion and outrage. Some even joined Dai Mubai, ready to attack Zhu Zhuqing. "Zhu Zhuqing, what's wrong with you? You read a letter and suddenly turn on your teammates? What happened to the Shrek Academy rules? Did you forget everything you were taught? Eighth sister, that's cold. Boss Dai treats you so well. This is the first time he's ever paid so much attention to a girl. How could you be so cruel? Zhu Qing, talk to us. Maybe there's a misunderstanding. Don't do anything rash." Everyone took Dai Mubai's side. They'd only seen Zhu Zhuqing's outburst, completely forgetting her personality. She wouldn't lash out unless she'd been pushed to the edge. Zhu Zhuqing pretended not to notice the accusing stares. Suddenly, she seemed lighter, more relaxed, even eager to speak. "Our engagement is off. I'm finally free." The words hit Dai Mubai like a lightning bolt. Ignoring the pain in his chest, he stared at Zhu Zhuqing in disbelief. "That's impossible. There's no way we can cancel it. It's a matter of state. The old man won't allow it, and neither will your parents." That he always knew Zhu Zhuqing hated the engagement, because it offered her nothing. The opposite was true for him. It practically guaranteed his survival, but it was the emperor's will. No matter how much Zhu Zhuqing protested, she was stuck with it. It had always given him an inflated sense of security. But now, the engagement was cancelled. No way. That's just not possible. There hasn't been a cancelled engagement in generations. You're bluffing. Why do you think it was cancelled? Don't you even know that it was rare for Zhu Zhuqing to talk so much? Thinking about the letter, her anger faded, replaced by a twisted sense of gratitude for Dai Mubai's recklessness. "Need I remind you? Ruth, Rita, Monica." Zhu Zhuqing recited a litany of female names, some familiar to Dai Mubai, others less so. It wasn't until she mentioned Vina that the penny finally dropped. Ma Hongjun realized the implication even earlier. Those were all women Dai Mubai had been with over the past couple of years, including some gorgeous blondes. He remembered them all. Dai Mubai's face turned an ugly mixture of red and white. He opened and closed his mouth, trying to say something, but couldn't. He was panicking. Just as Dai Mubai was about to mount his defense, Zhu Zhuqing spoke again, 5 words delivering the final blow. "Vina is still alive." This time, Dai Mubai crumpled. How could she be alive? He watched Vina drink poisoned wine with his own 2 eyes. Besides, Vina is staying at your place right now. How else do you think we could get this engagement cancelled? Zhu Zhuqing knew exactly how to twist the knife. Her words were calculated, each sentence hitting Dai Mubai where it hurt the most. "What are you talking about? You don't even know who you're talking about. Who is Vina? You can't just make someone up." Dai Mubai refused to admit it, clinging to denial. If there hadn't been a letter from home, carrying Emperor Xingluo's decree, it was okay to call off the engagement, but Zhu Zhuqing and her family had to keep the reason a secret. They couldn't reveal the details to anyone. Zhu Zhuqing wanted to expose Dai Mubai for who he really was, but she had to play along. She had to consider the Zhu family and swallow the truth. "You know what I mean." Zhu Zhuqing turned cold again, fixing Dai Mubai with a distant stare. "But there's nothing between us anymore. Only hatred. I hope you remember that." No one expected things to fall apart so spectacularly, or that a letter could pack such a punch. They might have won the match, but Shrek Academy felt worse than if they'd lost. But what really made them uncomfortable, especially Dai Mubai, was yet to come.